You're right, Boris. My career in public service started as a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. I deployed. I led a platoon of paratroopers in the invasion of Iraq, and I know what it felt like to have the weeks slip by, the months slip by, the years slip by, and to have no strategy, no end game, to be able to achieve every single mission and to win every single battle. Like that, there's a difference between tactical success, which we almost always have with the best military in the world, and strategic success in winning. Right? We never lost a single battle during our 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, but both of those conflicts ended poorly after spending over $5 trillion and 7,000 American lives fighting them. Right? So what I'm thinking about is, why are we sending these paratroopers into battle or potentially into battle? What guardrails are being put in place? How are we going to protect them and the 50,000 service members who are already there if we're running low on interceptors, if we don't have a plan or an alliance or a coalition to protect ourselves like we had in Iraq and Afghanistan? Let's remember, we had over 40 nations that went to war with us in Iraq and also Afghanistan. We don't have that here. Right? So I am deeply troubled for the trajectory. I'm deeply troubled for those paratroopers that I love, that I think about every day. I want to make sure that we can bring them home to their families.
If the U.S. were to capture Kharg Island or perhaps another island or area of strategic importance in the Gulf or the Strait of Hormuz, what would that mean for the broader conflict? Can the U.S. at this point end hostilities without doing that?
This goes back to your original question, Boris, about Steve Witkoff and what he has purportedly seen about the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime has built itself over 2 decades for this moment. They have distributed their command and control. They have a deep bench. They have decentralized decision-making. They have dug in. They have stockpiles and reserves. They view this as existential. And I'm seeing no indication that they're going to strike a deal or capitulate or surrender anytime soon. Right? So, again, we can have tactical success, and we will take casualties, I think, in the process of that, which is what I'm very concerned about, but without a strategic endgame. So where is this all leading? I can tell you that the American people are pretty sick and tired of endless conflict in the Middle East. After $5 to $8 trillion in 2 decades, thousands of American lives. They can't buy their groceries, they can't pay their rent or their mortgages. Our schools are crumbling and don't have adequate funding. And now the White House is saying we're going to spend at least $200 billion on this. The appetite for this is very low in America, in Colorado. I can tell you that. So we have to make sure that we are ending this, because this is not what Americans want and deserve right now. And in the short term, let's protect those Marines and paratroopers who we're sending into harm's way.
Well, we have a Congressman. I wanted to ask about the partial government shutdown. The Department of Homeland Security has been unfunded for more than 40 days, and lawmakers are set to go on a 2-week recess now with these huge TSA lines. Not only TSA officials, but also members of the U.S. Coast Guard, other federal agents that are critical to the nation's security have gone unpaid now for a significant amount of time. Are you planning to stay in Washington? Or do you urge others to? Do you think it's fair for leaders in Congress to leave town and go on this 2-week hiatus while so many are facing these circumstances?
I will vote anytime, day or night. I will come to Washington or stay in Washington if that's what's necessary. We have to pay these agents, and we have to open this up. And that's not just TSA, that's FEMA, that's Coast Guard. This should be easy, actually. And we have proposed now 9 different times in Congress, Democrats, to fully fund every non-controversial portion of this bill. That's FEMA, that's Coast Guard, that is TSA. Let's get that off the table. Let's fund these folks and pay these folks who are doing really tough, important work. And then we can have our debate about how we rein in a lawless, unconstitutionally acting agency like ICE, who's terrorizing my district, my community, my constituents, and many others throughout the country. But let's pay all these others. And again, we have forced in Congress, Democrats, 9 times tried to force a vote. I have signed on to a bill, a discharge petition is what it's called, that would force a vote in the House of Representatives. I encourage all of my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats alike, to sign on to that discharge petition so we can dispense with all those non-controversial elements. But right now, Mike Johnson is preventing that from moving forward.
Congressman Jason Crow, we have to leave the conversation there. Thanks so much for the time.